Creation's Journey to Life, Day 33, Peace of Mind, Mind in Pieces. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that unless every piece of my mind is at peace with each other and with life, the conflict I have defined as my right to opinion will result inevitably in a world at war in all facets of society, emerging as competition, manipulation, deception, abuse, and actual war, as the fear allowed in the mind for justified survival determines the fabric of society at large. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that it is in what I allow in the small actions as words, thoughts, and deeds, breath by breath, where I determine the large picture of life on earth. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that every piece of my mind must be at peace, and that it can only be at peace if I have practically aligned every piece of my mind to what is best for all life, as that would remove my fear of survival, but only if I can bring myself to realize that my fear of trusting my fellow human is the source fear my fellow human has of trusting me. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that it is in the small, the seemingly meaningless, that the big picture is pieced together, either as equality and peace or inequality and war. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that unless I take my mind as accepted now apart, piece by piece, to understand how I have put it together and then put it together in awareness so that which represents peace on earth will remain impossible. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that taking my mind apart piece by piece in self-honesty to understand how I created myself will take a minimum of 7 years, and that the journey to nothingness, to life, and piecing myself back together again as what is best for all life will take at least another 7 years, and that the longer I wait to take action to restore life to myself and earth, the longer the process to life will take, and the greater the consequence will be that I and humanity will have to face. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that it is in the small allowances like the spoken word, a written word, a corporate action somewhere in the world, an abusive family, a child starving in a world of plenty, that I create the consequence for me, my children, my neighbor, and my world, and that only through actual self-change that reflects in the world can I change the world and prevent some of the consequences. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that I have accepted men and women as leaders in the world based on my dishonesty and inadequacy, without realizing that this would place leaders in the world in the image and likeness of how I am in my mind, and that complaining about it is useless, as it will only fuel conflict within myself and prevent me from taking the action necessary to actually change myself to the state where I will be able to contribute practically to change the world to what is best for me as life and best for all as life. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to not realize that using economic systems based on debt, when resources are given freely by the planet, will result in a mind that lives in debt, and that the mind will align itself to survival and inequality that will result in inner conflict and outer war, as resources will be valued instead of life. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that by creating a fake space of inner peace for myself, by separating myself from the world, will give more power to abuse and will make me absolute and inadequate to ever be life, as I will be unable to be life in all dimensions by directing the laws of each dimension to what is best for all life. And thus, in my fakeness of spirit, I will confirm that I cannot be trusted with the responsibility as life and for life. I commit myself to show that opinion is always the result of a mind in pieces, where oneness does not, in fact, exist, and which will result in a world that will never be at peace. I commit myself to show that the creative power on earth is in thought, word, and deed, and if that is not aligned, and what is best for all life as one life on one planet, the world will fall into pieces. I commit myself to show that structural resonance alignment is the practical way, with support, where the mind is deconstructed piece by piece to understand, so as to eventually be put back together again piece by piece to what is best for all life, and that any resistance or postponement to consistently participate indicates a lack of compassion and disciplined dedication to life that will have consequences for all. I commit myself to show that the world as a prison is a result of the imprisoned self as life, in pieces in the mind, without a peace that reflects in every daily action in the world. I commit myself to show that desire without measurable appropriate action, resulting in what is best for all life, is like farting in the mind. I commit myself to show that the smallest measure on earth, which is one breath at a time, is all that any human can direct and manage, and that it is in these small measures that the world has been created to the state it is now, and that it will be with these small measures that we will have to change the world one by one, till the oneness and equality of life is in fact here, and only then will the prison of fear be at an end, and all life will be free. I commit myself to show that which was put together breath by breath in self-interest must be deconstructed breath by breath within awareness and responsible self-honesty before it can be put back together again breath by breath with life awareness. I commit myself to show that that which was put together breath by breath in self-interest must be deconstructed breath by breath within awareness and responsible self-honesty before it can be put together again breath by breath with life awareness, before peace on earth will be possible, and that this is the practical, real way of rebirthing oneself to life and actual, real awareness. I commit myself to show why the process to peace on earth will only be possible as a practical solution and a labor of love and dedication through daily breath by breath application that will take a minimum of 14 years per individual human. And as example, there is already evidence of the change of those that have been walking this practical process for years. To deny this evidence is to deny yourself life, and is to allow that which is illusion to consume you till what you have squandered as the gift of life is returned to its origin as dust. I commit myself to develop a new breed of leader with a narrow awareness as life as equals, so that the future of the world will be life one day.